Hi, I'm Erik Zobler. I'm one of the riders in the David Francisco Ride for Hope charity bike ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles. This particular event was organized by a group called Celebrate Overcoming. Their mission is to share stories about overcoming serious challenges so that others in similar situations will be inspired and supported to overcome their own challenges. Since this event is about celebrating overcoming, I was asked if I knew anyone who had overcome hardships in their lives and were inspirational. The person that came to my mind was a blues guitarist I had worked with. I've made 2 albums with her, and in 2014 she suffered an accident that had the potential to end her career. I interviewed her on the phone, and I think it's best if she tells the story in her own words.
You've been hurting, got a bad pain to get past.
So, I'm kind of 5 albums into my career, and it's Halloween of 2014, and, I'm kind of working in my backyard. I got every tool I own out in the backyard because I'm building. And came in the house, Lisa said, "Hey, want an apple?" And so I turned to say, "Yeah, sure." And she hands me the apple, and then the next thing I know, before you can even have a thought in your head, I was on the ground, and I could see that my wrist was fractured. I could see that things were sticking out in a way they're not supposed to. And it's not like in the movies where there's like this big slow motion fall, and you see, it was like, it was over before. It was like, she said, "You want an apple?" And the next thing I knew, I had a broken arm. And of course, the pain, I was just like, ah! And then when I saw the bone it didn't poke through the skin or anything, but you can see it sticking out, and I saw my whole entire career flash before my eyes, because we were at that time getting ready to record my next CD, because it had been 3 years. The Breathe Deep one that you mixed came out in 2011. And so 2014, I was already feeling like, oh my God, I'm way overdue. It's 3 years between albums, and oh my God. Well, then when that happened, of course it has to be a Friday night. We go to urgent care, and it takes forever to get in there, and then I started going into shock. The pain was so intense, and I'm like turning white and sweating and shaking, convulsing practically, and they're like, "Okay, let's get her in." So they got me in and x-rayed it, and then the doctor comes out, and she's like, she had that look on her face, and she's like, "We can't do anything for you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You have to go see a specialist, and they might recommend some stuff." I guess they got to be really careful, but what she was trying to tell me was that I was going to have surgery. So, this is like Friday night. I'm like, "You're not going to set my arm? I have to go home with a broken arm?" And she's like, "Well, it's fractured, and yeah, we're going to wrap it up for you." So we get in to see the specialist on Monday, and, he walked in the room within 2 milliseconds, said, "Oh yeah, you need surgery." Then they did the surgery that Friday, and I only missed 1 day of my teaching gig. I was there, I worked through my broken arm. I had it just held up, and I'm teaching with my left hand, and I'm a right-handed person. But, I just got that work ethic, you just got to show up. Then that takes a long time for that to heal, however long it is, 8 weeks or 6 weeks, and then the cast comes off, and then the real pain starts, man. Rehab, the physical therapy. It was just a battle. I couldn't move anything. The kind of fracture I had, it was a really bad one, apparently. So if I'm going to do it up, I do it up right.
Nice.
So I had that titanium plate and 8 screws in there holding everything together. Boy, it was just a battle. So that end of October is when I fell, and I had a festival booked for I think the end of February, and I was determined that I was going to play that festival because they're so hard to get, few and far between. So I just worked through, that was some kind of pain. Physical therapy for me just equates with pain. It's just pain, and you have to work through it. And so, I'm talking to him. Pain is scary, but it doesn't scare me to death. It's hard. But mainly for me, I was like, if you tell me that the pain is okay and that I just have to work through it and that I'm not damaging myself, then I'll work through the pain. So they're like, yep, because, your body is screaming at you, don't do this. You're having to bend. And I couldn't touch my fingers together, like touch your thumb to your pinky and then touch your thumb to your ring finger. I couldn't even do that. My hand just didn't work, and it was huge. It was like a club on the end of my arm, and I was determined. I had this music in me. I'm like, I want to play music. It's my calling. It's what I want to do. So I just went after the physical therapy really hard and just dealt with it. And I played that festival.
So how long was it between when you had the accident to when you played the first festival?
3 months.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it would have been way better if it could have even been 4 months. Well, the good news for me is the motion that I have to make, because this is my plucking hand, and so the motion that I have to make with my guitar pick in my hand, that motion works well. I still, to this day, I can feel that it's different and that it's not, quite as free. But that motion works pretty darn well. And even then it did. The motion that I can't do is like back, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like if you hold up your hand to somebody's face and say, talk to the hand, how you're bending your hand at like a 90 degrees to your arm.
Right.
So that back and forth motion, that's what's bad and is still bad. I'm like 50% of what I used to be able to do with that motion. I was pretty lucky that the guitar motion still works. And I was able to get that back. So I played that festival, and I actually played pretty well. And of course I had to rehearse, but people that have seen us before, like nobody could tell anything. But after we played our hour-long set or hour and a half or whatever it was like my hand just blew up. Just swelled up huge. It felt different the way I had to play. I've had to make some adjustments and different picking techniques, and I had to reteach myself, okay, I used to kind of do it this way, but my hand doesn't move that way anymore, so I have to learn a new way to do it. But, too bad. I just got to learn a new way, because the only other choice is stop playing, and that just wasn't a choice.
Right. So how is it today? How many years is it later now?
So October of 2017 then would have been the 3-year anniversary. You fast forward about a year and a half, and my thumb doesn't work right. Like, I can't pick up my thumb. They had to do a second surgery.
Oh, jeez.
So, if you set your hand on a table, palm down, you can pick up your thumb and kind of tap the table. Well, I couldn't do that. My thumb just sat there on the table. It wouldn't move. And, that affects your thumb is how you hold your pick between your thumb and your index finger. And to not have my thumb working properly, I'd been gigging now. You figure by the time I had the second surgery, I'd been gigging for over a year, dealing with it and just fighting through it and playing pretty well, I'm happy to report. But, it was a lot to have to overcome. So the decision was made. I went back to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, we need to go in there, and I'm not sure if it's a tendon or a ligament, whatever. Like, if you hold your hand out and start moving your thumb, you see something kind of stick up. Whatever that tendon or ligament is there, that thing was stuck in a bunch of gluey, sticky scar tissue. So it's like they have to go in, pull the tendon out of the little channel it's in, clean out the scar tissue, which of course creates more scar tissue, and then they put it back in. And then I said, well, as long as you're going in there, get all that metal out of me. Get the screws out, get the plate out. I want it all out of me. And so then that meant another round of physical therapy. It's like, oh my God, here we go again. But that was an easier round because it wasn't fractured. So I didn't have to overcome the fracture and the gigantic swelling of the fracture and all that. So now I actually still do like little physical therapy exercises on it every day of my life still. And I think I'm going to have to forever just to maintain the sort of the level of incapacity that I have now. I don't know that it's ever going to get better. I'm going to keep fighting and telling myself that maybe it will, but I know that I have to keep fighting just to maintain. So now when I play, I don't really even think about my wrist. It feels different, but it doesn't hurt. It just feels different, and it's impeded in some ways, but I've learned to just move a little differently, and it's all working. and it feels good, and I'm playing well, and so I'm super grateful that could have been a career-ending thing, and I was able to just fight through it and make it happen again, so that I get to play. Because, boy, I don't know what my life would be if I didn't get to.
If I had a button to push the applause, I would push it. Well, the world would be a better place if it was populated with a lot more Laurie Morvans, that's for sure.
Well, it'd be crazier.
Well, but good crazy.
It would certainly be quite crazy.
That's a good. Your crazy is a good crazy. There's good crazy and there's bad crazy. We love your crazy. All right. Well, I'm gonna end with that.
Hey, good yakking with you.
Yeah, likewise. Please go to dfrideforhope.com where you can sign up to follow our 12-day ride and support our riders. Donations will go to the Grammy organization Music Cares and the Shepherd Center for Spinal Cord and Brain Injury Rehabilitation. That's dfrideforhope.com. dfrideforhope.com. Thanks for listening.